So I'm grateful for today. Let me be traditional Baptist for a minute. So the shepherd of the house, thank you. And to my congregation, my family, my sanctuary family here, my extended family. My mommy will be watching this later, so hey, mama. So thank you for praying with me and encouraging me throughout the last couple of weeks. She is my prayer partner and the lady of the house in my head and all that kind of stuff. So thank you, Mom. But I thank you for the love and support that you guys give us and Pastor and I as a family. I am so grateful for the sanctuary.
Yes.
So if I had to give a title, which I did, my title is Christian Hospitality. Now, those of you, I'll tell them in a minute, I am not a preacher. I am not a teacher. Now, Pastor corrected me yesterday. He was like, you are a preacher. And I was like, I get it. But to me, I'm a messenger. God almost has to, when I was younger, God used to have to almost shoot a keg up underneath me to make me do what he needs me to do. But I must say that he didn't have to beat me up this time, and I appreciate the opportunity that he has given for a space like this. In some arenas, I would not be up here. And I'm grateful for that opportunity to share what he has instilled in me. And luckily, hospitality is something that God has actually instilled in me in a career. Working in a hotel for almost 15 years. I think in April I'll be on my 15th year. And I'm grateful for the opportunity to be hospitable at my job. Like, hospitality is what I do. I can do that in my sleep from that perspective. But how many of us know that being hospitable as a Christian has its challenges? Mm-hmm. And folk will make you not be hospitable if you let them.
Oh my.
So biblically, hospitality is represented in several chapters from the beginning to the end. Genesis 18 shows us the story, or shares us the story of Abraham welcoming 3 men into his home when the news that Sarah was going to become a mother was delivered. As was custom during that time, he bowed to them, washed their feet, and had his finest calf killed and served to them with fresh baked bread. Sounds simple enough, right? Immediately following the next chapter, in chapter 19, Lot welcomed 2 angels into his home, offering them shelter, food, and in this case, protection. Unfortunately, Lot carried his hospitality a little too far by offering his daughters as a physical sacrifice to an angry mob for the angels. So a lot of people say, well, it was for the angels. I mean, come on. I'm sorry. Rape is not hospitable. So, y'all can argue me that later, okay? So Jesus points out, jumping to the New Testament, and did I mention that I'm not going to be long? Okay. Jesus points out in the New Testament, Luke 14, chapters 12 through 14. Now, mind you, I'm not pastor, I'm not a teacher, so I'm not you can write it down, just jot it down and read it later. We're not going to read through all of it, okay? Jesus points out in the parable of the guest that it is better to invite the poor, the crippled, the lame, the blind to lunch and to dinner rather than your family and friends. And you think, oh, okay, well, that's kind of shady to the family and friends. But in this case, we are talking about the less fortunate, the downtrodden, those that are often left out of that. So your friends are able to repay you at some point with a meal or, anything else. Or I've got a favor for you later, bring you a little dish of something to church next week. Oh, that dessert was good, but here, try this dessert. Those that are less fortunate are oftentimes not able to do that. Now, I use the word less fortunate here because in biblical terms, it was always the homeless, and a lot of times we say the homeless, but when I say less fortunate, I often think of people who aren't sometimes necessarily homeless, but they may be at the brink of it, one paycheck away, and they could be homeless. So they're still in dire situations. They're not able to repay us, but they're still connected to the kingdom. A connection to the kingdom can be as simple as a meal. I'm looking forward to the fact that as the sanctuary, we're relocating to an area where we can do so much more work. Now, this is no shade to Kirkwood where we are now, but I doubt there's very few unfortunate people in Kirkwood where we are. But moving to the Tower Grove area and the section that we're in, there's a lot of opportunities for Christian hospitality to take place. And I'm very excited that Pastor has put us in a position, and he has molded us and helped us shape in our minds and in our hearts what we can do to execute Christian hospitality. One of the things I'm looking forward to that he has kind of okayed is we talked about a food pantry. And in the back of my head for a while, I didn't want to say anything because I think sometimes I'm really overly opinionated, and I think he thinks so too. But I was glad that he kind of saw it like I did. There's plenty of food pantries in that area already, and I'm not a proprietor of reinventing the wheel. What is the opportunity that we have to fill a void that isn't already present or not as present as some other things? And one of those things we discussed was talking about what I call a household pantry. And a lot of times, we'll look at less fortunate people and be like, well, why are her pants so dirty? And look at his shoes and, all of that thing. And they could use a little deodorant or something like that. Well, we have no idea. Deodorant costs about $3 depending on what it is that you get. But someone does not have $3 in order to get those everyday things that we take it, for granted. So the household pantry is something that I'm really excited about, for us to be able to provide soap and detergent and eventually when they don't have a washer and dryer at home, we actually want to provide a place for them to wash their clothes and things like that. So those are things that are missing from the area that is a concentration. I'm not saying anyone is not doing it, but I do want to encourage everybody to look at some of the things that aren't being done. Churches and ministries, one of the first things they do is we jump on feeding people. And I think sometimes in America we have a little too much to eat, or we don't have enough of the healthier things. I'm one of them people. Okay. Just want to stand behind this podium and won't step out. But those other things and some of those things, the smallest things, just having deodorant or being able to brush your teeth, sometimes that's a mental thing where people don't want to be around and they shy away from you because they didn't have the opportunity to do some things that we take for granted. Hospitality says my heart goes out, and I understand putting myself in that position. We all know what it's like to be hungry to a degree, but putting ourselves in a position where I feel like my body and my breath or my hair or my nails, all of those things are not where I would want them to be. And they don't have to be perfect, but is there an opportunity for us to think along those things, putting ourselves in those positions in order to help someone to the next portion of that? And in hospitality, I can't help but to think of customer service. Customer service and hospitality are two totally different things. Yes. Customer service is described as assisting or advising those who are buying or using products and services. Hospitality is levels above that. Hospitality is welcoming others with warm, open arms, offering lodging and sustenance with a cheerful, willing, and wanting heart and demeanor. Oh, wow. So we could service people all day long. Churches are good for, I'm working in the church and I'm serving in the church, and that's great, but what attitude do you have while you're serving? What personality are you exuding while you're serving? So where Pastor and I live, there's a brand new Chick-fil-A. And Lord Jesus, help me with the Chick-fil-A, because I'm from the South, and Chick-fil-A is actually starting in Atlanta. It's right next door to Alabama, and Chick-fil-A is king. So it has been great, and I'm so glad it is African-American. It is owned by an African-American female who I got to meet in person the other day, as a matter of fact. And I was like, Lord, I want to be supportive, and I love the food, but I got to lose some weight. I can't go down here every day. Pastor was blown away, which I knew he would be, from experience of us going to other places in the area, and going to Chick-fil-A was totally different. Yeah. And a big reason of that, why, which I already knew, having had a history with them, is that Chick-fil-A is they base their service module off of hospitality. If you go to Chick-fil-A, they actually say, "It's my pleasure," and "Thank you, come again." They don't. That's a hotel. That's hotel and hospitality. So when you see them, they wave at you. I can take the next guest here, and they have to make you eye contact with you, and not just say next. Oh, that's customer service. Hospitality says, "Hi, how are you? Welcome to Chick-fil-A." You know, you drive up to Burger King and McDonald's, may I take your order? Or you get to the counter. And you know, my husband is a little cuckoo and he goes, he waits for them to speak. So you would think that it's training, but I'm like, you know, they went right in her head and went over it and under and everywhere else. God bless her. But hospitality extends a hand, so I'm excited for the next ministry venture here because we have the opportunity to change how church service goes. We have to do it in hospitality. And I, you know, in Abraham's terms, you know, when I was reading this, and I never paid attention before, but he actually bowed before the three men that came. And, you know, we live in a different custom, but you think about those that, people that are of Asian descent, baby, they will bow you to the end. And I know that's not a part of Western culture, but if you think about that, they're actually humbling and submitting themselves to the guest that is in front of you. Doesn't mean that they're taking, you know, just handing it over to you and letting you take advantage of them, but they're respectful of the fact that this individual has come into my presence, and I'm respectful of that. And so from a spiritual and a mental and emotional perspective, I hope that as a Christian, that in our heads, we bow to those that are coming to us for services, those that are coming to us for love, those that need to be embraced, that we mentally and emotionally kind of bow before them and say, I give you a certain level of respect that I know you're not getting in the world. And that's the thing. The world is providing services to a degree, but no hospitality. When they walk through these doors, I'm appreciative of being here in McKinley because people always walk in and they talk about how calm and welcoming everybody is. Like we meet no strangers and everybody, you know, comes around and shakes everyone's hand. And if we don't get to you, if we missed you, it's because you ran in and ran out. But what if every church were that way? What if every ministry exuded hospitality? And I know some larger churches that have a hospitality committee. And when you say hospitality, back in the day, hospitality was a group of ladies who just kind of, every time we had a special event, they were the ones that fixed the food. And I thought that, okay, I get that. But as I grew older and figured out it was a concept and a way of life, not necessarily food. Because as a kid, he was like, oh, okay, hospitality is serving food. But it's so much more than that. It's the love that you give while you're serving the food. That's right. And I remember as a kid, like going to church and no shade to my people that may be watching this back home. But the ladies would be so tired from being up the night before and they're serving this place. What you want? I just got out of church and got a word from God, and the pastor told me how much the Lord and everybody around loved me. And I'm like, well, she don't love me. You know. Hey, mama. My mom wasn't like that. My mom's an aggressive, she's an assertive lady. She's one of those tough love ladies, and she's softened up a whole lot more. I think that age has something to do with it, but and she softened up a whole lot. And I was like, Mom, you know, did you hear how you said that? And she was like, what you mean? I'm just trying to get it done, and the people don't want to do right, and you got to keep them in order. And I said, yeah, that's where I get it from. She's like, you know, I said, I know, Mom, but you got to kind of watch how you say things. You know, people will think you mean. I'm like, you know, I'm not mean. I just want everybody. I agree. That's where I get it from, y'all. So I mean it in love and hospitality, okay? Excuse me. But going back, hospitality is levels above this. Hospitality is welcoming others with warm, open arms, offering lodging and substance with a cheerful, willing, wanting heart and demeanor. Kindness and sincere helpfulness adds to which we call hospitality. You can do something with a smile on your face when you're at work. You know, customer service forces people to smile, even though 90% of the time it still don't work. But you can force a smile. But the average person can tell sincerity behind that fake smile. So I don't ever want us as a sanctuary family, and I'm speaking to everybody online, to never be that person that has to force a smile. Never be a person that has to force your ability to do something. If your heart's not in it, please don't do it. Right. Let someone else who has a heart for that. And in church, oftentimes, and we know how this goes at the sanctuary, small church roles sometimes, and even though we have grown, and I'm so grateful to God for that, but I appreciate one concept that Pastor will not let us do is that as soon as you walk in and you look like you might want to join, we're going to put you on the usher board in the choir. No, we're not. We're going to let you and God decide what ministry, auxiliary, organization, whatever the case is. We let the two, Pastor allows you to work that out with you and the Lord, and then you come back and express what it is that you want to do. I'm so appreciative of that. I got the same thing when I first got here too, because when I first moved here 6 years ago, I thought, oh Lord, I'm married to the pastor, and I'm going to be expected to do something. But I got to sit right behind Mother Trout for a couple of years and just not move. And when I tell you, it was wonderful. I love that because it didn't pressure me. And I honestly, my relationship with the Lord actually had the opportunity to expound from some of the hurt and some of the aggravation and some of the fakeness that I had just come from, and the experience was so different. And so I appreciate the opportunity to really just be able to be led by God as to what it is that I was going to do next. And that meant my heart was warm and open and receptive to doing the next thing that He would have me to do. Let's see, having worked in hotel and hospitality for almost 15 years, I get to see a difference between hospitality and customer service on a daily basis. I train my team to know the difference and to exude the difference with every guest interaction. Oftentimes, people can be difficult to be hospitable to. Attitudes, personalities, mental and emotional states can often make hospitality changing. And this is not a bragging thing when I say a couple of things. I've been in the hotel long enough to where I've had deaths in the hotel. Like I've actually, unfortunately, God rest her, I've had a nurse who was clinically depressed come into the hotel, hook herself up to an IV in the room in the middle of the day. It was about 11:30. I'll never forget this. Hook herself up to an IV, had a couple of glasses of Jack Daniels, and it's the same drug that I think that Michael Jackson overdosed on, but the same drug, and she just went to sleep. And the police tracked her down with her credit card to our hotel, and I had to go up with one of my managers, and we opened the door, and she looked so peaceful and sleepy, but I hate that she had to go that way. And I told that little grim story for another reason, same reason. I've had weddings at the hotel, and the mother and the groom, the mother of the groom or the mother of the bride are just beyond, stressed out and whatever, because they wanted to take the stress from the kids, which never really works because everybody's stressed out. But the little things that you do, and there were things that we did or that I did with a hospitality attitude. Now, when it comes to like death and things like that, I've been on the phone with, you would think most people would, well, let's just call the police and let them handle it. And routinely, that's what you would do out in, kind of public venues. But my heart said, let me take some of the burden off of the people who are mourning this woman or mourning this man. I've had 2 different death situations happen with me being in a hotel. But I'm on the phone with the coroner, and I'm on the phone with the funeral home, and the family said the family's out of town and they got to come in. And so you're on the phone trying to get them to work. And I spent my entire work day, and I'm grateful that I was in a situation where my manager allowed me to be hospitable. They didn't just say, walk away. Now the corporate office probably of the major portion of it probably would have said, step back, take your hands out, we're not responsible. Right. We don't want any issues. But my heart and hospitality told me differently. So I reached out, connected with the families, did what we had to do. And guess what? And I don't say this to brag, but it made a blessing come back to me. The families will call a week or 2 later and say, thank you for what you did, more than just your job, that you went beyond that. And that's exactly what we want. I want to see someone walk through the door in a situation, and the sanctuary or the Christian family as a whole will reach out and come back and say, I'm doing this out of hospitality. We're not just doing this out of service. When someone walks through the doors on Fairview, we don't want to just walk, okay, well, she needs some shampoo. Here you go, baby. All right, God bless you. walk back and think nothing of it. But what did you get? What did you say to her out of that helps her? We have no idea until we indulge and engage people to see what it is, because other than shampoo, do you know how embarrassing it is to come and ask for something as basic as shampoo and deodorant and something like that? Or just, can I come in while it rains? Right. And just sit here so that I don't get wet? Because this coat that he's got on is going to be soaked and he's sleeping outside. Hospitality says, let's just let him sit inside, get him a warm cup of coffee or tea, even though we might be painting a room. Notice I said we. But we might be painting a room or something like that. But hospitality says, let's bring them inside. Now, let's not be foolish. We have to have our wits about us while we're doing all things, because we realize that we're in some areas where not everybody means the best. Whereas, there's the enemy is going to try to come in any way, shape, form, or fashion. So we definitely don't want to be gullible to the situation. But we do want to do what we can do. And when we can't do something, we still want to do it in hospitality, love. Amen. Amen. So, I am grateful to God that I get to be hospitable in my home. And that's still something I have to work on some days, because Pastor made a comment to me yesterday, sometimes you still kind of operate as an individual. And he's right. I do. And that's telling me myself. So I look at it as an opportunity for how dare I be able to do something out there that I can't do in my own home. Right. That steps on my toes, and a whole bunch of y'all's too, don't it? I'm just tired. I had worked all day. These people got on my nerves, and I'm just hungry. I'm just going to eat a sandwich and go to bed. I'm just going to watch. What's that show y'all watch, Steffi? What is it? You want to try to talk about it every Sunday. What is it? Vampire Diaries or something? Is that Legacy? I'm just going to watch Legacy and go lay down. Well, did you check on Mom? Did you check on... Well, I know Mother Trout did. Mother Trout checks on everybody, so I can't use her as an example. But what do we do to be hospitable in our own homes? We think out of obligation, okay, I got to make dinner, I got to wash clothes. But, Pastor asked me to do something this morning and I cringed. He knew better than ask me. He was smiling and he knew I didn't want to do it. I'm not going to tell y'all what it was. But it's nothing horrible. It's just that, But I thought, you know what? If Jesus, Abraham, and a host of other prophets and evangelists, preachers, teachers, and great people of the Bible, if they could wash people's feet, there should be very little that is beneath me to do for my spouse, to do for my parents, to do for my children. There should be anything that I should limit myself to. He never asked me to do anything degrading or of that nature, but hospitality says, with a warm and cheerful heart, I can do those things. And then I have to spill over to Philippians and be like, I can do all things through Christ. Lord, I want to just hit it right now. Let me go ahead and do this. So, now how long have I been, right? 15 minutes, is it? All right. I told you I wasn't going to be long. But I'm grateful, I'm glad, I'm excited about the opportunity for the sanctuary to be hospitable to the world. I'm not just saying that. I appreciate Pastor's heart and his leadership. And this is no shade to anyone else's church or ministry, but I'm oftentimes concerned when churches and ministries are, and a lot of times I think that they put it in there just to make themselves seem prestigious, but oftentimes you go see a church that says so-and-so international ministries, and you ain't left your neighborhood, but if you're going to be international, what are you doing to do for someone right around the corner? Amen. There's so much opportunity to be hospitable and to be of a hospital service church Christian opportunity right here in our backyards, right in front of our faces. But somehow it seems prestigious for us to hop on a plane and take a 16-hour ride to Senegal. And in Senegal, believe it or not, there are places in Africa, and this is no shade out, I can't wait when I grow up and in my next international trip and I can go to Africa. I want to go to Egypt because Pastor and I love Egyptian things. But there's so many places that are getting so much help from around the world because that seems to be that's the trend. It's the cliche place to go to. So no shade to anybody, so don't take that back to Facebook and get mad with me. But what are we doing right down the street, right around the corner, right in our backyards in order to be hospitable to our own people right here? Like my own people are just next door, and it doesn't matter whether they're black, white, or blue. Those are my people. They're right here with me. We're in this trench together. So what are we doing to grab each other by the hand? A warm hand. You got cold hands like I do sometimes, put a glove on. But a warm heart, people can see that through and through. So I just want to be encouraging today for us to lift up our eyes and not fall into typical traditional church service. Yes. But to realize that the thing that we're missing, like most people are so cold now and so rigid, is because they don't feel or see the hospitality in us as Christians. Christians have become staunched and uppity and removed from, and people love this scripture, and we have just mistaken it, that we should not be a part of the world. I'm removing myself from the world. Well, honey, how do you think the world is going to change if you're not in it at some point? You've got to be in it in order to change it. So, duh. So I'll be the first to tell. I'm a part of the world. So I'm changing the world, person by person, action by action, ability by ability. I am taking what I can do and trying my best to be the Christian, and don't ever let anybody take it away from you, to be the Christian that God wants me to be. Yes. And I challenge you to do the same. Thank you.
Yeah.